It is official. Jose Mourinho back to Real Madrid. Real Madrid has paid his €3 million release clause to Benfica, and he is set to return to Madrid as the new manager beginning of June. And I say manager because if we look here, it says that Real Madrid have agreed to give Jose Mourinho the final say on signings and departures. And this is incredibly common. Another post also says that he has complete control over the locker room, who plays, who doesn't. He doesn't care about the names. You have to fight and kill to earn your spot in the team. And I think everyone saw this coming. I think it is a very low, and this might sound surprising, low risk, high reward sort of hire because Madrid has gone back-to-back trophyless. There's nothing more for us to lose. Players, they come and go. It's inevitable. Coaches come and go. That's inevitable. So there's really nothing more that Madrid can lose. So I see everyone saying that this is high risk because of Mourinho's ego and him clashing with the locker room. But I think it's actually a low risk because Madrid have nothing else to lose and only to gain. And everyone knows that this team has the quality to win trophies and to make runs and the ability. It's just whether or not they work together and they actually get it done. But I have to say that a lot of people are saying that this is an absolute horrible hire and that Jose Mourinho is washed and he's too old. He hasn't coached a truly big team since United. He was sacked by Fenerbahce 9 months ago. Coaching Benfica, they go invincible but finished third in the table. And he really hasn't done much. He won Roma a European trophy, which was the first in their history back in 2022. So, about a half decade ago. But, he's I think 63, hasn't coached a big club in almost a decade. It's been 13 years since he left Madrid, and everyone's saying that this is a desperation hire and that this is a bad hire and that it's just a ticking time bomb for Jose Mourinho and the current ego and locker room toxicity of Madrid to all explode. For me, I think with all things considered, the managerial market, the elections with Perez and him 99.9% chance of winning the election and becoming reelected, I think this is probably Madrid's best bet. And the reason I say this is people are saying that he's too old and he's washed. But if you go back to 2013 when Mourinho left Madrid, he had won a league and he had won a Copa del Rey. And I think that was it, right? So he'd only won 2 trophies in 3 years, but he set a new blueprint. But ultimately, he didn't get that Champions League, and that's why he left. The next year, right, Carlo Ancelotti comes in, we win La Decima, and that long coveted, awaited, 10th European Champions League we finally get the year after Mourinho leaves. And at the time, Mourinho was the most sought-after manager in the world. He had won a treble with Inter a couple years prior. He had won a Champions League with Porto, 8 or 6 years prior. And he was young, and everyone was looking to get Jose Mourinho. So not only did we hire him at his peak, but he didn't win us anything either. And then, Ancelotti comes in the next year and wins La Decima. And because, Jose Mourinho at his peak of his powers didn't win anything then, everyone is saying that this is a horrible hire, that he's washed. But if you go back to 2022, right, because Carlo Ancelotti wins La Decima in 2014, coaches a couple more years, and ends up leaving the club. He goes to Italy, he goes to Napoli, and then ends up at Everton in England a couple years later. And, he's pushing 60 at that point, and he had gone from the heights at Madrid to coaching Everton, and everyone was saying that he was washed. And out of the blue, right, Madrid hire him again. 2022. He, I think, is 60 or 61 at the time. He had just been coaching Everton, and everyone said it was a bad hire. Everyone said that he was washed and that it wasn't a good idea. That year, we win a Champions League. And 2 years after that, we win another. He won us 2 Champions Leagues in 4 years because he was exactly what Madrid needed at that time. And because no matter how old you get, there are certain personality traits, whether your tactics change over time or not, there's certain personality traits that always stay the same. And Carlo Ancelotti's man management always stays the same no matter how old he gets. And ultimately, because he was what Madrid needed then, we already had leaders, Benzema, Kroos, Modric. We already had the leaders in the locker rooms. We just needed the chemistry and the connectivity to actually, reach the heights of, Champions Leagues. Now, Madrid has no leaders. It's all a bunch of egos, and they're all clashing with each other. There's no chemistry, and now more than ever, right? Fast forward a couple of years from 2022, now more than ever, what we need is an established, respected, credible manager who has not only a bigger ego than everyone in this locker room, but the biggest ego of any coach ever. And this is what we need. And no matter how old he is, Jose Mourinho can come back to Real Madrid at 63, whether his tactics from 2012 when he was at Madrid have changed and he hasn't coached a big club then. Jose Mourinho himself as a man has not changed. And we need his personality traits of his of who he is to actually work with Madrid, not his tactics. And that is something that he is still absolutely capable of bringing. So I like I said, I think it's a low risk, high reward sort of hire. I know that he's got a clause where if he wins La Liga, his 2-year contract goes to 3 years. He is wanting, the says and signings, so guys who come in, departures. And I know he's going to get to work soon. He's going to be in Madrid in a week and a half. So I think that there is a lot of players who are going to benefit in his system. I think he's going to try to implement some of his tactics and play styles that he did earlier when he was at Madrid. And I think there's some players who are probably going to fall through and fall out of favor with Mourinho. But at this point, I don't care who comes, who leaves. I just want to see Madrid back to winning ways. It's been hard watching the club the last 2 years, especially the last 2 months with this huge amount of drama that I've never seen at this club before. So I think that we need someone who, what Xabi Alonso wanted was this. He wanted full control, and he wanted the true managerial position within the club, but because he was young, whether he was a club legend, whether he was Spanish, but because he was young and he was truly not actually that proven, he hadn't won a Champions League, he had won one league title, it was inevitable that at a certain point the locker room wasn't going to respect him. This guy's different, right? 2 Champions Leagues, a treble, league titles, coached some of the greatest teams ever. And he has every... There's at this point with Carvajal leaving at the end of the season, I could be wrong. I'm just off the top of my head. I don't think that there is a more decorated player in that locker room now than what Jose Mourinho has accomplished as a manager. And because of that, I think he will have the upper hand on every player in that locker room. And I know that there's some players excited for him to come. I haven't seen any negatives from the club about him coming, other than some fans. But I don't know where else Madrid can go. I don't quite understand the fans that were so desperate to get Jurgen Klopp, even though, one, it was unrealistic that he was ever going to leave that position with Red Bull, and two, that the tactics he was going to implement were the same what Xabi Alonso was doing, and the club didn't listen to that, the team didn't listen to that, so I don't know what people were thinking, but I think this is the best case scenario. I think Jose Mourinho not only deserves a Champions League, but given the current state of Europe, it's not as dominant or as competitive as it was, in prime Messi and prime Ronaldo era. So if there was ever a time for him to get it with Madrid, it's this time for him when he's coming back. So I'm really excited to see it, and I'm more excited to see how it unfolds these next coming weeks with who departs. We can expect some people to depart, but I think that these transfer rumors and speculations are going to change a lot now that this is official. It's not just the club anymore. It's not just the fans saying what it was, but it's truly now a coach. So, if you're seeing this, you're a Madrid fan, you want to be kept up to date with coach changes, transfers, whatever it is, and you like this sort of stuff, then I would appreciate a comment, of course. But ultimately, if you guys like it and subscribe, it means a lot. So until next time.